Most players think they lose matches because something went wrong. A misconfirm, a drop combo, a bad guess. That's usually not true. If you replay the match honestly, the loss didn't start at the mistake. It started earlier, at the moment you hesitated when you shouldn't have. There's a specific phase in competitive matches that decides almost everything. It's quiet, nothing flashy happens, no one talks about it, and that's exactly why people lose there. It usually comes after the first real exchange. Both players have information now, spacing is established, options are known. From the outside, it looks like neutral. Internally, though, something changes. One player commits to a direction, the other starts waiting. That difference doesn't show up on the health bar right away, but the match is already leaning. Most players don't recognize this moment because nothing feels wrong. They're still blocking correctly, still moving, still alive, which is why it's dangerous. This is where people confuse discipline with hesitation. Discipline means you could act, and you choose not to because you understand the position. Hesitation means you want to act, but you're unsure which decision will hold up. From the controller, these two feel similar. From the opponent's side, they feel completely different. Hesitation leaks information. It shows up as micro retreats that don't threaten anything, as pressure that stops right before it matters, as movement without consequence. Strong players feel this immediately. They don't speed up, they don't force anything, they slow down because you've already given them control. This is why people say things like, I was playing well and then it just slipped away. What actually happened is simpler. You stop committing to a structure. Instead of choosing one way to take space, you hover between options. Instead of enforcing a decision, you waited for permission. Instead of trusting the position you built, you tried to stay flexible. Flexibility feels smart, it's also expensive. Every uncommitted moment forces your brain to reevaluate everything in real time. Spacing, timing, risk, reward, that's not adaptation, that's cognitive load. And cognitive load is what causes late reactions, sloppy confirms, and panic decisions. Those mistakes people blame later, they're symptoms, not causes. The real loss happened earlier when you refused to decide how the round was going to be played. A lot of players think pressure is about being active, about buttons, about speed. That's surface level pressure. Real pressure is decisional. It's forcing the same question repeatedly until the opponent either answers it or breaks. That only works if you are committed to the question. The moment you change plans mid-sequence, pressure evaporates, even if the choice was technically correct. This is why players who play safe often feel like the match drags on forever. They're spending energy without creating leverage. Time passes, mental fatigue builds, the opponent stays comfortable. Nothing explodes until suddenly it does. And when it does, it feels unfair. But it isn't. The match didn't turn on the hit, it turned when one player decided and the other delayed. This is also why advice like, just be more aggressive, rarely works. Aggression without structure is just faster hesitation. If you don't know what you're committing to, acting sooner doesn't fix the problem, it just makes the collapse louder. Strong players don't win because they make better decisions moment to moment, they win because they make fewer decisions. They choose a structure early, they enforce it, and they stay there until the opponent proves it no longer works. Most players never reach that point. They abandon winning positions too early because they mistake discomfort for danger. Discomfort is where control forms. Danger is what happens when you wait too long to act. This is why people plateau at high ranks. They understand fundamentals, they recognize situations, they know what could work. What they don't trust is commitment. So they hedge, they delay, they try to keep every option open, and that feels responsible. It also guarantees that someone else decides the pace. You can see this clearly in tournament matches. Losses there stick longer, not because the opponent was better mechanically, but because you forced to sit with the decision that failed. You can't cue again, you can't immediately overwrite the feeling. The reflection hurts, but it teaches. Rank lets you escape too quickly. The lesson never settles, and that's why people replay the same mistake for months without realizing it's the same mistake. They think it's execution, they think it's nerves, they think it's matchup knowledge, It's usually none of those. It's indecision at the wrong time. Once you see this, you start noticing it everywhere. Rounds where you were ahead but never closed, games where neutral felt good but momentum never flipped, matches where you felt calm but not threatening. Calm without commitment isn't control, it's just delay. And delay doesn't stop the game from moving forward, it just ensures you arrive late. The players who age well competitively understand this. They don't chase activity, they don't rush moments, they trust structures long enough to test them. That's why their play looks simple. That's why it looks boring to spectators. That's why it works. This is something that comes up often in private analysis, not because people don't know the game, but because they don't know when to decide. If there's one thing to take from this, it's this. Most matches aren't lost because of bad play. They're lost because commitment came too late. And once you're late, no amount of correctness catches you back up.